you're watching this, you've probably heard about EVO, maybe caught a few live streams, or even watched it on TV. But if you've never been to the largest fighting game tournament in the world, you're missing out on 90% of the experience. But before I went to my first EVO, I remember getting hyped watching Daigo win Street Fighter 4 in 2009, Gamerby upsetting Justin Wong in 2010, and Punko downing a Red Bull before upsetting Daigo in 2011. But when I actually went there for the first time in 2013, it left an impression on me that led me to going back 7 more times. So what is that 90% that keeps me coming back? The first EVO was in 1996, kind of. It wasn't called EVO then, and it was not in Las Vegas. It was called Battle by the Bay, which has 3 Bs in it, hence its alternate name B3, which is kind of like E3.
Welcome to B3!
While EVO nowadays is like an E3 for fighting games, B3 was a Street Fighter tournament with just over 100 players, where the NorCal organizers begged arcades to borrow cabinets to play at a mini-golf center in Sunnyvale, California. The following tournament was called B4, then B5, and in 2002, the tournament was finally called the Evolution Championship Series. At this point, Japanese players were regularly coming to compete, and in 2004, Daigo Umehara parries Justin Wong, giving birth to Moment 37, bringing new eyes into the scene. In order to scale up, EVO moved to Las Vegas the very next year. It was a more neutral territory amidst the rivalry between the East and West coasts, but also doubled as a tourist destination for anyone traveling. Going to EVO now meant going to Las Vegas, which is a city that literally calls itself the entertainment capital of the world. And this makes it much easier to convince your friends to go with you. Pina coladas on a sunbed next to a swimming pool is what got my better half to come with me. And if you like shows, I recommend Cirque du Soleil, which is basically like watching a 20v20 tag fighter. But being a city full of attractions means it has crazy good event infrastructure, ones that can accommodate thousands of people with air conditioning. What comes with a venue that can accommodate over 25,000 people is a viewing experience to match that. The screens are huge and the sound system reveals audio details you didn't know existed in your favorite fighting games. Few things are more satisfying than hearing a Tekken counter hit coming from an array of 18-inch subwoofers. But even if you have a sick sound system at home, you're not going to hear the audience around you. No amount of emotes in stream chat will match the hype of actual people's reactions and cheering. But maybe you feel you just want to watch the matches. But even then, being there in person lets you see marquee matches that will never be streamed, many of which that determine who will make it into the finals at the end of day 2. Only the people in the arc of redemption will know what really happened. And for the biggest matches like the Sunday finals, you're basically in a stadium arena. It's like a giant concert, except that it's the best fighting game players in the world fighting for the most coveted title in the FGC. Every finals I've been to have had mind-blowing moments that make the crowd lose their minds. If you've ever been hyped watching a moment on stream, being there in person will feel like it's over 9,000. When watching the FGC from afar, it's easy to forget that it's a real community with real people. When you get there, you'll see these people in person and not just their internet persona. The open bracket format means you might get a chance to play them in a match, and you won't forget it. The matches you play offline in a tournament like EVO get etched in your brain in a way online tournaments do not, no disrespect. The wins and losses matter much more because you're in a tournament that carries the legitimacy of one that will potentially change someone's life. The rush of getting out of pools or getting your first win is greater than getting 1,000 wins online. But even losing and getting eliminated feels more meaningful because the stakes are real, and you're sharing this experience with thousands of other like-minded people who knows how it feels. There is no game mode that can give you the experience a major offline tournament can give you. Playing in the tournament feels this way because it has such a long legacy. Fighting games are the oldest esport that still has an active pro scene, and EVO is the oldest fighting game major that still exists today. Starting with around 100 entrants and blowing up to 10,000 in 2024, it is now the largest competitive gaming tournament in the world. There is a wall to celebrate decades of EVO champions from each year, and even inside jokes that reference the time they misspelled championship on everyone's badge. If the term gaming history means anything, then this is it. But there's lots to do outside of the competition itself. During all 3 days, there's a convention going on complete with cosplayers who pay extraordinary attention to detail.
There's lots of stuff you can only buy at that EVO, and you'll have friends asking you to get stuff for them. This is my shirt from EVO 2013, which is now 12 years old. And if you like artwork, the Artist Alley has some of the best fighting game artwork you'll find anywhere. Sometimes the artists themselves will be there to sign your stuff. But if you don't care so much for the lore as you do the gameplay, you can find the latest innovations in fighting game tech. There are a few places where you can try out so many controllers, and really, you have to try these things out first before you know what's right for you, even if that ends up being one of these. And if you want to try out some of the most anticipated fighting games, EVO is the most likely to have it. Fighting game publishers want their games to be showcased at EVO, and this benefits you and them if you attend. It's some of the most valuable feedback they can have.
Again, thank you very much, guys.
But if you're not so into the new games, they have the old ones as well, like very old. EVO is technically the second largest arcade in the US, with rare authentic arcade boards coming out of people's private collections. It's basically a museum at this point. But then there's also an actual museum, which is for arcade sticks. It's often laid out chronologically so you can see how they've evolved over time and where they're heading. With so many things to do outside the competition, there's been a lot of talk about whether EVO is now a convention or a tournament. But the way I see it is, ¿por qué no los dos?
Before EVO, I'd been playing at my locals and watching whatever tournament stream I could find, but going to EVO was the moment I felt like I was officially a part of this thing for the better or worse. If you're remotely interested in any of this stuff, it's hard to leave unchanged. Hopefully I was able to explain this 90% of the experience that people miss out on, but like any in-person experience, you just have to be there.
See you at EVO.